Welcome to Epic Begins with One Step Forward. I'm your host, Zander Sprague, and I am so delighted that you're joining me today. I wanted to share a thought of the day. Know your value. What do I mean by that? Well, we often undervalue ourselves and our intellectual property, the things that we come up with, the things that we want to sell. And that's a big mistake. You are so valuable, and your ideas are valuable. And if you want to sell your idea at a Lamborghini price, don't sell it for Honda prices. What do I mean by that? It's quite simple. All too often we undervalue stuff. We think, oh, people won't pay that much. But they really will. If you look at a Honda and a Lamborghini costs more because we ascribe that value. However, the actual cost to build it for a Lamborghini is not that much more raw product wise than it is for a Honda, and yet it sells for 3 times the price. So you should be making sure that you're getting your Lamborghini prices. I want to share a little update with one of my guests I had on my podcast. That's Fei Ru. We talked about being a solo traveler and the challenges that come with traveling on your own around the world. I just recently heard from her, and she's been having a great summer, traveling around on her own, meeting new people, having new experiences. So she's discovering new epic destinations, and I encourage you, if you want to go someplace and you don't have someone who wants to go with you, be brave. Take that epic step and go out and find your epic destinations. Today, I am so honored to be joined by Shem Isaac. Shem, welcome to Epic Begins with One Step Forward. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Well, thank you, Zander. I'm very happy to be here and be a part of the community that you're building. My name is Shem Isaac, and I'm from the Bay Area. I was born in Napa. I'm a contractor in a small company based here we're based in Benicia, but we service all 9 Bay Area counties. Our company's core belief is that your home should be one of your favorite places on earth, and our company exists to help make that a reality.
That is so awesome. And we're going to talk about that a little, but you have a very interesting background.
Thank you.
And I want to just share a little about that. So you grew up in Napa.
Yes.
And is it safe to say that perhaps childhood was a little challenging at times?
It was. My dad was out of the picture when I was 10. So growing up without a dad is a challenge for any kid. Mm-hmm. I was the oldest of 3 boys. And so my mother, very hard worker, but she was tasked with raising 3 boys. And she did absolutely the best she could, and I think she did a very good job. But yeah, we grew up on the poor side of Napa. We did not grow up on the country club side.
So, in doing that, what does that experience of growing up like that, how do you think that's helped shape who you are as a person, as a dad, as an entrepreneur?
I have a very deep sense of responsibility because I had those 2 younger brothers. So my uncles would tell me I'm the man of the house. You know, at 12 years of age, I was tasked with that responsibility. And more or less, I embraced it. I started businesses when I was still in my teens just to make extra money for the family, to help my mom. And it was very challenging. I don't feel like I missed out on my childhood. I had a lot of fun, but I would say that the circumstances definitely helped shape me, to be the man I am today. But also my choices, not just circumstances, but my choices. Other people in similar circumstances made different choices, and they got very different results.
Definitely, and I'm a firm believer that choice is so powerful in our life, and all too often, no matter your circumstance, we forget that we do have choices. And for you, how has choice been important to you?
Wow. How has choice been important? I would say this, that we all have choices. There's almost like too many choices, too much opportunity in our culture today to where people very easily can be distracted. So that happened to me a lot when I was younger. I would start a venture and have some success and get a little momentum going, and then find another opportunity that I thought would be even better.
Right.
And so I would jump and jump and jump, but I never put in the 10,000 hours that it takes to master something.
Yep.
When I finally did focus in on something and put in the 10,000, or by this time probably 100,000 hours, it's not what I would have dreamed of as a child.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
It's completely different. So some of the choices were very intentional, and others were just thrust upon me.
Definitely. Definitely. One thing I know that you and I unfortunately share is what I call that epic unexpected. You and I are both sibling survivors. If you can talk just a little about when you lost your brother and how old you were and what happened.
I would have been 45, so this was 2017. My youngest brother, Gilead, wonderful guy, probably the smartest guy I've ever met in my life. He was just natively brilliant. But when he was very young, he struggled with a heroin addiction. He was rescued from that by our middle brother, and his name's Gan, and he's a remarkable man. And Gilead was sober for over 10 years. And then, as often happens with these cunning, baffling, and powerful diseases, is they come back into our lives, and that happened in 2017. He ordered some, we believe he thought it was heroin over the internet, and it came in a package with a lot of Chinese writing, so he wasn't sure exactly what it was. And I believe it was fentanyl. And this would have been back in the early days when people weren't being cautious about it.
Sure.
And I think because he had a progressive disease, he picked up where he had left off 10 years earlier, and the amount killed him.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. That is, I know, it's very challenging. Speaking of, we were talking about choices, and I know I had a choice after my sister Lucy was murdered about how I wanted to deal with that, whether I wanted to talk about her every day or never or whatever. So along that line, what choices do you make about Gilead and, remembering him, keeping him alive in your life?
I remember him for his brilliance. That's the first thing I said about him, isn't it? I could have said that he was taller than me. He was about 6'5". Could have said he's very handsome and charming, and he's all those things. But he was so smart, and I just always enjoyed hearing his perspective on things, and that I miss very much.
Definitely. Now, speaking of your the middle son, Gan, he's had a little impressive life himself.
Yeah. So he's the tallest of the three of us. He's over 6'10".
Yeah.
He's listed at 6'10" in his MMA record. He's, I think, if I remember correctly, the third tallest UFC fighter ever.
Yep.
Most of his career was in Pride before UFC bought Pride.
Yep.
But he did have a brief record with Dana White's organization.
Absolutely. And, impressive. I went, when I learned that, I'm like, oh, wait, hold on. I think I saw some of his fights. So I went and watched them on YouTube. And so that is fascinating, the success that all of you have found. For you, I know from talking with you before the show that you do a lot of outreach work to help people. Can you talk a little about that epic work?
Are you talking about in the homeless community?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's not something I brag about. We try to do it as anonymously as I can, but I will share it because I want to be relatable.
Yeah.
So that other members of your community can feel that they're not alone. So because of what happened with Gilead, and he was homeless for a period when he was in his late teens, early 20s, I just have an affinity for helping these people. I just have it, my heart draws me to them. And along with that has come a lot of heartbreak and very, very, very little joy. It is a, I don't want to say a thankless task, because one of my core beliefs is that hard work is its own reward. So just doing the work is rewarding enough. It would be wonderful if we could calculate the percentages of people who stay in recovery, who transition from homelessness to out of it and out of addiction. It'd be wonderful if we could measure that in the, mid percentiles. Even 20% would be so encouraging, but it's very rare. I have some friends, I could say they're friends now. They've been on the journey a long time. I was not a part of their journey, but I know them now. And they're successful, 17 years sober and off drugs and not homeless anymore, and have had the same job for 10 years and things like that. That's all very encouraging, and that helps keep me going. But it's a sorting and sifting process. And what I do is I just meet the people, and then I plug them into the resources that are available.
Definitely. And I mean, one of the things I think that's great about the Bay Area is there are so many resources available to people should they want to try and access them. That's, of course, always a challenge. A lot of people who are homeless, perhaps they have substance use issues. There's also, sadly, a lot of mental health issues that gets in the way of people taking medication that may help them to lead a more productive life. And I'm sure that you see that.
I do, and it's also very tricky. Someone will be on a medication that's working well for them for 6 months or a year, and then all of a sudden it doesn't work anymore, and they have to go back to a doctor. A lot of these people don't have regular visits to a doctor.
Sure.
They see a doctor only when there's something tragically wrong.
A crisis or something.
A crisis, and then the police get involved, and then they're taken to the hospital. Then they get the care they need, and then they're good for another 6 or 12 months, hopefully.
Definitely. And I know from my work in mental health that a lot of people who have some severe mental health issues, perhaps personality disorders, that oftentimes they don't like taking the medication because the way it makes them feel is they kind of like someone who might be, let's say, bipolar. They really are like that mania, and so they're like, well, I don't want to tamp that down. I like that. So I know that it's challenging. I studied that in grad school, learned a lot about it. So
the drugs come with side effects, and the alternative is a deep commitment to a highly structured program. Yeah. And that takes a lot of work.
It does. It does. And structure is really, I think, important for all of us in our life. I know structure helps me get the work I need to get done. If I know what I need to do and when I need to do it, it's so much easier than saying, as an entrepreneur, there are 25 things that I need to do right now, but I've discovered I can only do one thing at a time. As hard as I try to multitask, I joke that I'm a single core mind in a multi-core world. I can only do this one task. I can write an email, but I can't be writing an email with my left hand and sending a text with my right hand. I'm just not capable, and I don't think people are really capable of effectively doing that. Yeah, people can multitask, obviously. We do it when we drive cars. We're able to drive the car, tune the radio, perhaps talk to a passenger. We can drive and talk at the same time.
Right.
But so structure is really, really important for all of us, I think. So I'm interested how, in the work that you do you do anything to try and help people create that structure, understand how structure is important for them in their path, in their journey?
Do you mean among my employees?
Sure.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. We have a very defined career path with our employees. And our core belief helps us when it's customer facing. It attracts the right people who believe what we believe, and more importantly, like a magnet has two poles, our core belief repels the people who don't believe what we believe.
Right.
Same thing with our employees. We have very strong beliefs, and then that attracts the right people, and the wrong people just say, yes, this isn't for me.
Sure.
It becomes very obvious. So when I'm interviewing someone, I share with them that career path. I try to find out exactly what they want. Our company tagline is "Live Better by Design."
Yeah.
So among our customers, that's obvious. We're going to design a solution for their home, but among our employees, it has a different meaning. Live Better by Design means we're going to help you design that life, and your work is a major part of it. It's not the only part. It probably shouldn't even be the most important, but it should be one of the top three, perhaps.
Well, we do spend, theoretically, we're all spending at least 8 hours a day, 5 days a week doing our job. So it is taking up 40 plus hours of our week.
Right.
So, safe to say, yes, having a good design, understanding here's where I am, here's where I would like to get to. My epic journey, here are the steps I think I need to take. Like any journey, there are roadblocks, there are detours, and oftentimes the way we think we're getting someplace you get there, but it may not be exactly the way you initially thought it would be.
Right. Well, a big part of what we do with our employees, it comes down to our company culture. So we believe, one of our core beliefs is that you should live debt-free or as close to debt-free. You certainly don't want to be over-leveraged.
Sure.
Rite Aid right now is going out of business. Rite Aid, one of these big companies, going out of business because they were over-leveraged. So we don't want to do that in our lives either. So one of the ways that we support our employees in that is if an employee goes out and takes on lots of debt and they buy a brand new car and they come in, they're wanting to show it off, we're going to celebrate that with them to a little degree. But, if they paid cash for it, we're going to celebrate tremendously.
Sure.
But if they have a $1,000 a month payment plus an $800 a month insurance payment, and I know what they're making, I'm not going to over-celebrate that.
Definitely.
But if they have a banged up old truck that they saved up for, saved cash, and they bought it and they brought it and they come to show me, I'm going to celebrate that just as much as if they paid cash for a brand new car.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think there's a lot of value there. I was driving over here, and on the radio they were talking about, with the advent of online shopping, it's so much easier to now sit at home and go, wow, that's a nice shirt. I think I'll buy it. Whereas when you and I were younger, if we wanted a shirt, we actually had to get ourselves to the store, be it bike, bus, car, however, foot, and go buy it. Like, you actually had effort, so you thought about it more. It's really easy to go, oh, look at that on Amazon, bing, and then it shows up tomorrow, the next day. And that's creating a lot of people who are going into a lot of debt and don't actually understand how or why. And one thing that I don't think is getting taught as much, and it's sad, is budgeting. I know when I was in school, I don't know why, but they talked a little about budgeting to us. Like, hey, here's how much you might make in a job. Here's what you actually take home. Here's what average rent is. Here's what you should expect for food. And sort of help you really give that structure to understand that even though it looks like you have a lot of money, there's lots of different places it's going.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So that's one of the first things that we teach people is that you have to create a budget.
Yeah.
And then you have to allocate, right in your budget, one of the first things you put in is how much you want to put aside.
Sure.
Savings is critically important. And we'll have in-depth talks about that. And then you budget the rest around your savings. It's the old pay yourself first mentality.
Definitely. And savings are obviously really important to making sure that, again, that those unexpected expenses come up. if you own a car, and I know you've owned a car or two in your life, Shem.
I own 7 right now.
Exactly. You have to understand that there are those things that are part of regular maintenance that come up. If you have to put 4 new tires on your car because it's just time for your own safety and the safety of others, you have to do it. But that's not an inexpensive proposition. Even if you're not going for a top-of-the-line tire, just here's a safe tire. That could still be $500-$600 right there.
Or $1,200.
Or $1,200.
If you have a truck, easily,
Yeah.
maybe 15. Who knows?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
Exactly. And so that savings helps you because all of a sudden you go, oh yeah, okay, I've thought about that. I have that money. So.
Right. So an emergency fund is one of the first things you should do, but that's not very sexy. I get people hooked on the idea of savings by talking about your opportunity fund. So the opportunity fund comes later. You have to have your foundational safety fund first, or emergency fund. But the opportunity fund is what will allow you to take advantage of those opportunities when they come up.
Right.
So many times in my life, I've had a great opportunity. I didn't have the resources to take advantage of it.
Definitely.
I introduced it to a friend who did have the resources, and that person went on to enjoy the results of that.
Sure.
So having that opportunity fund is very important, and it's more fun to talk about, and then you can kind of backdoor the emergency fund in after that.
Absolutely. I mean, one thing I grew up hearing is, oh, save for a rainy day. But Shem, I don't know about you, but I certainly, it's not when it's a rainy day in, let's say, January, it's not like, ooh, it's time to spend some money. I've never had that thought. Oh, it's a rainy day. I've saved money. Now it's time. So I'm interested in where phrases, I don't know where the phrase came from, but.
I have an idea.
Okay.
Because I'm in the trades. It gets really, really slow during the rainy season.
Got it.
So we want to save so that we can at least cover our basic expenses during the rainy period.
Definitely. So just take a minute, you sort of hinted it a little about, make your home your favorite place. Mm-hmm. What is your business right now?
Our company is called Home Living Window Fashions. We're transitioning to the home living company right now because we do so much more than window fashions right now. But
right.
We do the interior drapery, plantation shutters, motorized shades, and we also do the exterior shading products like retractable awnings, shades that come down on the side of your pergola. Mm-hmm. We do the louvered roof, pergola systems and things like that. So it's all about just creating a space that you love.
Right.
The reason that we carry these particular products, we only carry really high quality products that we feel we can stand behind, mm-hmm. is we want you to be able to spend more time with the people that you love in the space that you love.
Definitely.
That's the bottom line.
Definitely. And I know where I live, my patio is really sunny. I mean, from like 10 in the morning until sunset. And it's beautiful. I want to sit out there. But when it's hot out like it was this past weekend, I'm limited by how much I want to sit out there because I'm just out in the baking sun. Mm-hmm. But once I get my awning out and a shade that allows me to use my outdoor dining table, problem is I face to the west. Mm-hmm. And when the sun is setting, I'm trying to have dinner, someone is blinded by the sun because it's right in their face. So mm-hmm. by being able to block the sun a little, I think I'll be able to use my outdoor space even more.
Even more time with the people that you love in the space that you love.
Absolutely.
And that ties into our core belief that it should be one of your favorite places on earth. That last bit feeds and supports the first bit.
It really does. And going back to something you were talking about, usually our biggest debt that we have is our home.
Yes.
It would be great to be able to go, I'm just going to pay cash for the home, but here in the Bay Area, most of us are not able to pull that off. So yes, we have to incur the debt for the home, but since you're paying the most for it, and for the longest period of time probably, you should be enjoying it.
Absolutely. And there is the notion of good debt and bad debt.
Yeah.
And very simply put, Bad debt would be to buy something that depreciates in value, and good debt would be to buy something that appreciates in value. Depending upon the mortgage rate you get, there's absolutely nothing wrong with buying a home. In fact, I would say buy a home even today with the mortgage rates higher, because it has absolutely changed my life owning a home, several homes now, and I wouldn't regret it at all.
Definitely. Oh, and I completely agree. And you're right, there is sort of the, theoretically appreciating debt or appreciating value. Houses in general do. Yes, there's certainly the times where you bought a house and something happens and the value of your house goes down below what you actually paid for it. But if you're able to hold on, most times it does come back.
Absolutely. And another good example of good debt would be if you own a business, a debt, buying maybe equipment or investing it in your business in a way that is going to allow you to have leverage.
Absolutely.
For example, we've invested in some equipment that allows us to install more awnings more safely in less time. Taking on debt that allows you to do that is definitely going to be worth it.
Absolutely, because the amount of, that's short-term debt in the sense that you're able to do more jobs, so you're able to pay off that debt, so it is not so much of a long-term debt for you, if that's how you choose to do it. I'd love to ask people, I have this concept of not yet. I think there's not yets in our life. Things that someday I'll do this, I'll write a book, I'll travel somewhere. What's one or two of your not yet, Shem?
I do have the beginning structure of a book. It's not necessarily going to be for mass distribution, although it could be for other contractors or small business owners like us. But it's really an internal book for our employees or for the hiring process.
Cool.
So that's one. I'd also very much like to travel to certain parts of the world, particularly the Middle East and Israel. I think that'd be a dream of mine.
That is awesome. Well, Shem, I want to thank you so much for joining us, for sharing your epic story.
Thank you, Zander. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. And I want to remind everyone that if you're ready to begin your epic journey, go to epicbegins.com. And remember that epic choices lead to the epic life that you want.